I am the We're live. Hi, and I'm the owner of a company called Dragonfly Lights, and I'm bringing you programs called Dealing with Your Diabetes. I'm a registered nurse, and I also have spent time in corporate America as a healthcare executive. And what I have learned over the years is that my medical training wasn't enough. So when I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, I was 26 years old, and I was working in the emergency department. And you would think that being a critical care nurse and having high acuity training and experience, that I would just be able to do diabetes without a problem, and that was not the case. What I found over time, over many years and a lot of struggle, is that my problem wasn't diabetes, it was I didn't have coping skills. And through the years, I figured out some of these skills that I needed, and I don't think that our medical community delivers those today. So we talk a lot about diet and exercise and nutrition, which is the what to do, but nobody really tells you how to do it, how to weave that into your life so it's not this heavy burden. So that's what my programs are all about. So today we're going to be talking about two things. One is something called my favorite term, and I'll share it with you in a minute, but it's all about how you can live better with diabetes. And then we're going to talk about some group coaching. So I'm going to flip over here real quick to a PowerPoint, and let me restart it. Okay. All right, let's go share that now. Okay, there we go. All righty, there. Okay, so again, this is a webinar about group coaching. And I'm going to minimize that. Okay, so before we get going too far, let's just do the agenda review very quickly. So our agenda is a secret to living well with diabetes is the first thing up, and I'm going to share with you the one word that I think makes all the difference in the world. We're going to talk a little bit more about group coaching and what that looks like and who would do it and what actually goes on. And then there'll be some times for questions at the end. So the key thing, the secret to living well with diabetes is a characteristic called resiliency. And so resiliency is that capacity to recover quickly from difficulties or a toughness, right? And so it's overcoming obstacles. It's not letting setbacks get you down. It's being able to roll with the punches and get back up again. That's something you actually can develop if you focus on it. And that's what I really want to talk about. For me, I always use the term coping skills. I didn't know how to deal with some hard things. I like to run away from them or avoid them. I think a lot of people with diabetes would just rather not have to deal with it, and they put it on a shelf and try to act like it's not there. Coping with these things are learning new tools, strategies, and mindsets that help you keep your head in the game. And I'm going to make a lot of sports analogies today, so bear with me. But resiliency is that ability to keep at it, even though you may not feel like it. And life always finds a way. I think that's the image here is, this little sprout growing in the middle of nowhere. So research proves it, and this was interesting to me. So not only what I found to be true is my coping skills or how you keep getting back up when you're getting knocked down, this term resiliency, if you do a quick Google search, you will find that there's a lot of correlation, and this character trait of resiliency has been shown to improve how well people can live with diabetes. Their A1Cs are lower. Their numbers are better, they're happier, they have fewer complications. And so it's this attitude and, this ability to see things differently than you might do it now. So what does resiliency actually look like, right? What does that mean? So it's a word and we get back out, but what are the character traits of someone who is resilient? So one, you're informed, you know what's going on, you haven't buried your head in the sand, your eyes open and you're looking at what your truth is and what's going on around you. You're comfortable and you're clear. So not in a panic, not, reacting and, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, running around. It's a state of being relaxed and hopeful that, there's good in the world and better to come, even despite diabetes. It's meaningful. So, Your life has meaning and purpose, and if the things that you're doing in your life don't align with your meaning, then it gets really hard because you're doing things that you really don't believe in or agree to. So it has to be meaningful to you, your experience, and what you see as valuable. Resiliency is self-directed. It's because what you want to do. It's not what somebody else wants you to do. It's what you want to do, what you agree to, and what you're willing to do. And so when you start listening to what your body's telling you and not your chitter chatter head or, your neighbors, friends, whomever, it's about what you need and want to be happy and healthy. And that always isn't what everybody else wants you to do. And resiliency is intentional. It is doing things on purpose, not reacting. So it's, even though there are challenges, it's a way of negotiating things where you're in control and you're doing things, you're speaking your truth, your voice, and it's choosing to do these things versus letting life happen to you. So those are kind of the character traits. So you ask, how do you learn it? So when we learn these things, and these are some of the things that are the pillars of my programs, and this is one of the things that, some of the things we'll cover in group coaching, but being informed. So you have to understand how diabetes works. And I've met so many people who were diagnosed and really just not given enough information. They've Googled things online, they're trying to get the information, but the first thing, if you're going to deal well with diabetes and you're going to practice resiliency, is you have to know, what you're dealing with. So there's some education needs there. So if you don't feel like you understand how it all works, that's where we start. Comfortable and clear. This is about your feelings. So if you feel bad, or if you worry, or if you're stressed or have a lot of anxiety, all those feelings are probably a little bit deeper than you've ever really looked at. So one of the things we do is to start looking at, how do you feel? Why do you feel that way? Is it something you learned from the past? Is it true about right now? Is it something you're worried about in the future? And when we do those things, then we can understand the feeling and we understand what it is. So maybe it is worry, or maybe it is fear. What are we afraid of? And then how do we tackle that? So again, it's, once you kind of identify some of these feelings, it allows you to relax a little bit because you know what it is. It's not just bad. Meaningful. So again, talking about what your values are, what's your purpose. Do you really understand what you need? Do you know what you need to be happy? Do you know what you believe in? Do you know what your needs and desires are? If you don't have that clearly articulated, it's really going to be hard to live your purpose, right? So it won't have meaning to you because it's what somebody else wants or needs and not what you want. And then self-directed is understand what you're willing to do, right? So it's your body, your everything that you do will impact you the most directly. It may impact your family as well, but it's going to impact you first and foremost. So it has to be about you, what you're willing to do, what you're not willing to do, what you can do, what you can afford. It has to come from a place that you believe in it, because if you don't believe in it, you won't do it. That's the opposite of logical, right? Trying to do something you don't believe. And lastly, it's intentional. And intentional people, we understand how to tell other people what we need, to speak our truth. And it's on purpose, right? It's not just reacting to what the world throws at you. It's having a situation, being able to pause for a moment, thinking about what that means for you or how you want to address it. And then how do you communicate that? And that's a skill you can learn. But once you learn it, you feel so much more accomplished and powerful. So this is the skills, and this is what resiliency feels like. And it is something that you can learn. So we're going to talk a little bit about community. So in group coaching, so coaching is all about helping you achieve goals and change things. The reason I think group coaching is so important is because it develops a sense of community. And I think the opposite of community is feeling isolated, alone, and misunderstood. And I think there are so many people today that deal with diabetes on their own or in private, or they don't think anyone understands, and maybe no one does. And so it's going to be really hard to do that by yourself. But if you would like to work on some of the things that are challenging for you, you're going to get there further and faster when you're surrounded by people who know what you're talking about and get it. right? It's comforting that when you're saying something, others around you go, yes, I've been there, that they understand. And then as they learn things, you will learn from them and they might learn from you. And as a group, it's exponential how we grow and learn. So it's so important, I think, and especially with diabetes, depending on where you live, you may or may not have access to seeing a lot of other people who have to deal with this every day. And so it's just a nice way to come together and learn. So we'll talk a little bit about nurse coaching. So it's not something you hear about, although it's growing. So nurse coaching is kind of an extension of what you think of normal nursing in a doctor's office or, a hospital setting. But nurse coaching is really about not just the body, which is traditionally what you think about, but it's about kind of your mind, soul, belief, values. It's not therapy. We're not going back and trying to, tease out any psychological issues. That's not what we do. It's really about helping you understand where you're at right now and then how you are comfortable to get to where you want to be. And much like, if you think of a coach in baseball or basketball or golf or any sport like that, the coach doesn't play the game. The person, the player plays the game, and the coach is providing expertise. They're providing an alternate view. They're helping them see what they can't see because they're playing the game. And so it's this other person that can help take you further faster. And again, you're playing the game. So you've got to figure out a way that works with your body, your physique, your finances, everything that's yours, right? It's your way. Even with two, if we're talking baseball, two baseball players, they won't throw the ball the same way. They won't swing the bat the same way. There might be some basic fundamentals, but each one of them brings their own physiology to the game that makes them different. And that's no different than what happens with diabetes. And, if diabetes is a game that you want to play better, then that's what coaching can help you do. And again, it's finding your way with what you're willing to do and what you're comfortable with. And you're the only person who knows that. Nobody else is going to, tell you these are the 5 things that will make you happy. You're going to react to them and go, I like that, or I don't like that, or tell me more about this one. And it's a fun experience. I think that's the most important thing is you decide how deep or how, what you want to work on, what makes sense for you, where you're struggling. It's your choice. You're empowered. And then my job is to just help give you some tools, some ideas, some information, some suggestions. And there are some fun tools that we do to help you even kind of tap into, get out of your head. Sometimes we're too much in our head, and there are other things, kind of your gut feeling. There's actually some fun things we can do to help see what you really think or what you really feel. So that's a super fun. But nurse coaching is really taking that plan of care that your doctor has and working with you in your life to figure out ways to make it fit and work and that are happy for you and that, that align with who you are as a person. So what to expect in group coaching. So first of all, there's a class, there's 4 students and me. At the beginning, after we kind of sign everybody up and come to terms on the best date and time, I have a one-on-one session. When you register, I'll send you some information and have you fill out some information online just about your disease, what medicines you take, where you're doing well, where you're not doing well, just going through some basic assessment information so I understand your life a little bit better. And then each of us individually will have so each of the 4 students or clients would have a one-on-one with me, and we'll dig a little bit deeper, get to know each other, answer any questions you have. And kind of get prepared. And then in that first session one-on-one, I'll give you some homework, or you'll come up with your own homework. We'll decide what we think, what you think you're willing and that you'd like to do. And I'll do that for each of the people in the group. And then on our first Zoom call, we will dial in, and Zoom is a free application. I'll send you a link. You click on it, and you can do it on your phone or the computer. And, So I'll share with you this because I was kind of a skeptic at first on how do you really, does this stuff really work? Where you have people calling in and are on the computer, does that really work? And I've taken some online classes, and to my amazement, it was tremendously valuable to see people, to see their face, to see their facial expressions, to have more than just a voice on the phone. And you really do get connected to people. It's amazing. So that's one of the other reasons group coaching is such a great thing, because it can bring people from various parts of the world or the country or wherever together, and you really do get connected and you understand and you begin to really care for each other and want to share and want to help each other. It's a great feeling. So we're on a Zoom call, and you can do it on your phone, like I said, or the PC. And so we always start the class depending on what the group wants. Sometimes different groups want me to go over some medication they're all on, or maybe some teaching about diabetes that we may or may not do that depending on what everybody wants. So there may be some time up front, and then we'll do a check-in. And the check-in is just a fun little way, a little icebreaker to kind of just see how everybody's mood is that day. And so the check-in might be, check in like you're, a flower. And so you might have somebody who's a big sunshine flower and somebody else who's a desert cactus flower, and that just tells you, well, what kind of day they're having. So it's fun. It's a way to get to know somebody. It makes talking a little bit easier when it's about something fun like that. And then I'll go with each person 10 to 12 minutes, and we'll talk about your homework, how you did, what your challenges were. And then, we'll go through that coaching process of what we're working on, where we want to go, and then, what we think about how we want to get there. There'll be homework, and then I'll go to the next person. So you'll hear 4 different coaching. Well, you'll have your own session plus the 3 others. And what you'll find is that the other people have similar stuff to what you have. And so you'll not only work on your problem, but you'll get the benefit of these other folks. And so it's really cool because you start realizing you're not alone. And B, you're like, wow, I've already had that. Maybe I can help them. So at the end, we kind of wrap up and we do a takeaway. And what that looks like is, just what did you learn? What was amazing to you? What was difficult for you? Something you might want to tell one of the other, the people in the group, like, hey, I've had that, try this, so there's this time at the end, because when we're coaching, we're not interrupting each other. But at the end, we have some time as a community to kind of, cheerlead each other. Some days you're the cheerleader. Some day you're the one that needs to be, cheered up a little bit. So that's what it looks like. And we do that for throughout the sessions. It's 10 weeks. And there's also another session during the course. So if there's, if we come on a problem that maybe you don't want to talk about in front of the other group, maybe it takes more time than we have with the group structure, then there's another session, a one-on-one session for everybody that we can do offline. So that's what it looks like. So benefits, why would you want to do this? So if you're struggling a little bit with diabetes, you're frustrated, you feel like it's just a burden, you're sick of it, and you need a different way of thinking about it, of tackling it, some new strategies, you're just stuck in a rut. Group coaching is a great way because 1, you're not alone. 2, it's time every week that's just about you, right? It's just about you. It's not about work or the kids or anything else. And because you have this time every week, then you become accountable, right? We're here to help support you, cheer you on. We can actually text and email, during the week if the group chooses to share that information. So you really tap into people that will care about you, and that can support you. And I think that's the biggest part is people get it. You connect with these people who understand and learn about your needs and what's really going on in your life. And then you learn from them. And you might share, someone might learn from your struggle, or you may have a tip or trick for someone else. So it's just a great balance of people sharing. And I think it's just great to know you're not alone. And then obviously there's a lot lower cost as a group or splitting up the cost of the services. So we'll talk a little bit about that next. So the class details, it meets for 10 weeks. So it's a 1-hour class per week, give or take. We try to end on time. There are 2 one-on-one sessions, as I discussed, one at the beginning of the class and then the second one to be determined by us jointly throughout the rest of the sessions. And then, so if we just look at pricing, 12 hours of coaching at an individual hourly rate is $1,800. And so if you were to see me, every week in person or via Skype, that's the sort of fees we're looking at. So when we divide that by 4, it brings our price down to $450 for that time. And then if you sign up this week, I'm going to further discount. So $375 for 10 weeks, which it ends up being 12 hours of coaching. And not only on things that you're struggling with, but you'll also learn what the group is struggling with. So again, you get a lot more than what I've found is people get a lot more out of it than a one-on-one coaching session because they hear other perspectives, which is really nice. Okay, so then let's go on to persistence, not perfection. So if you are living a resilient life, or if you want to live a resilient life, this is your mantra. This is what keeps me going. And if the game is about perfection, and that's what it feels like many times to the medical community, is they want your numbers perfect. They always got to be better, 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 better. You know, I've hardly ever been to the doctor where they don't want something better. They want something to change. Well, that's a hard bar to live up to. So, and I'm going to use the sports analogy again. I go up to bat every day and I play the game. I hold my bat, I look at that ball when it's coming my way, and I make a lot of decisions. Sometimes I swing, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I hit a home run, and some days I, foul out. But I always play the game. And so if my goal is to be persistent and always play, then I win no matter what. If my blood sugars aren't perfect, or if I have a bad day, or if I fall off the wagon a little bit. But you just keep playing the game. That is a mantra. So to be resilient, you can learn how to do this. It's something you can learn. It's mindset changes. It's, like Oprah used to say, they're aha moments. And once you have them, you can't unhave them, and things change. So it becomes very, very fun. Okay, so last is questions. This is a recorded version of this webinar. So there is a chat function here, and you can tap your questions in, and they will be sent to me, and I will respond to you that way. So for attending this webinar, you're going to get a free gift from me. I'm going to send you a little quiz in the mail just to help you kind of sort through your resiliency score, if you will. And then also you'll get the recording of this, and then information about the classes. So you'll be able to let me know if you'd like to sign up, or if you have questions. I also offer a free 30-minute one-on-one call, an introductory call. So if you'd like to talk to me, we can schedule that as well. Okay, so I'm going to flip back over to Hangout. Okay, so I should be back. There I am. Okay, I just wanted to say goodbye. Thank you so much again for joining. I look forward to meeting you. Again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, just let me know. I'll answer everything for you. It's really fun. I love coaching. It's just, gosh, I wish I would have had it 20 years ago. It would have saved me a lot of heartache and grief and some hard times, but I want to help you. I want to make a difference in your life and how you deal with your diabetes. So thanks again for joining, and I'll hope to see you soon. Bye.